The wind whispers a desolate lament through the skeletal remains of what was once a bustling main street. Rust-colored dust coats everything, clinging to the rotting wood of abandoned storefronts and swirling around the silent, empty playground swing sets. This isn't just a town, it's a monument to forgotten dreams, a chilling testament to the devastating force of ruthless ambition. Every creaking shutter, every shattered windowpane, screams a silent accusation against the one man whose insatiable hunger for power paved this road to ruin. This is the story of how one tycoon, Mr. Sterling, consumed a vibrant community whole, leaving behind nothing but echoes of despair and countless shattered lives. This place, before its demise, was a vibrant tapestry woven from hard work and communal spirit. Known simply as Oakhaven, it nestled comfortably by the banks of the murmuring Silverwood River, its livelihood deeply rooted in the rich soil and dense forests that surrounded it. For generations, the hum of the sawmills and the rhythmic clang of the local forge had been its heartbeat. People knew each other by name, shared Sunday dinners, and leaned on neighbors in times of trouble. Children played freely in sun-dappled clearings, while adults gathered at the general store, their lives intertwined like the branches of the ancient oaks that gave the town its name. Oakhaven was self-sufficient, proud, and possessed a simple, undeniable beauty, its residents content in their quiet corner of the world, asking for little more than the continuation of their peaceful existence. Then, like a shadow falling across a sunlit field, Mr. Sterling arrived. He was a titan of industry, a man whose name echoed in boardrooms and financial districts, synonymous with immense wealth and an almost mythical ability to transform fledgling ventures into empires. His arrival in Oakhaven wasn't quiet, it was heralded by a fleet of gleaming black sedans and a carefully orchestrated media blitz. He wasn't just a businessman, he was presented as a messiah, a benefactor descending from the heavens to bestow prosperity upon their humble town. Sterling spoke of jobs, of investment, of a future so bright it would eclipse any past glories. His promises shimmered with the allure of progress, a symphony of opportunity that resonated deeply with many weary from years of quiet struggle. His grand proposal was simple, a colossal new industrial complex, a state-of-the-art facility that would redefine modern manufacturing, right on the edge of Oakhaven. It would bring thousands of jobs, he declared, infusing the local economy with an unprecedented boom. He painted vivid pictures of new schools, better infrastructure, and a future where Oakhaven would be a shining example of regional development. The scale of his vision was breathtaking, almost overwhelming, but beneath the glossy veneer of progress, a faint aroma of something less palatable lingered, the scent of disruption, of massive change that might not be entirely beneficial. A wave of exhilaration swept through Oakhaven. The prospect of a brighter tomorrow, stable jobs, and a revitalized economy was an irresistible siren song. Yet, amidst the fervent optimism, pockets of quiet skepticism began to form. Old Man Hemlock, his hands gnarled from a lifetime of carpentry, squinted at the blueprints Sterling presented, muttering about the river's delicate ecosystem. Mrs. Albright, the town's librarian, a woman who read not just books but people, felt a prickle of unease at the cold, calculating gleam in Sterling's eyes, sensing a deeper, more unsettling agenda behind his generous facade. Their doubts, however, were largely drowned out by the thunderous applause and the widespread hope that Sterling represented. The first warning signs were subtle, easily dismissed. A forgotten permit for a construction access road that cut through a small, beloved community park. The unexpected noise of early morning blasting operations, jarring the town from its peaceful slumber. Sterling's representatives offered polite apologies, attributing them to unavoidable logistical oversights and the necessities of rapid progress. For the greater good, most reasoned, these were minor inconveniences. After all, you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs, they told themselves. As weeks turned into months, Sterling's influence grew exponentially. He began acquiring land at an astonishing pace, not just for the industrial complex, but seemingly for anything that caught his eye, old farms, local businesses, even the town's only independent newspaper. Under the guise of modernization and efficiency, his company started to exert pressure on local governance, subtly shifting decisions in his favor, consolidating his power with an almost imperceptible, yet relentless, grip. Subscribe now and join us as we uncover the dark secrets behind Sterling's empire. The grand industrial project, once a gleaming promise of prosperity, began to reveal its true, tarnished nature. The initial hum of machinery soon escalated into a ceaseless roar, a cacophony that drowned out the once familiar sounds of the river and the rustling leaves. Environmental damage manifested subtly at first, a faint sheen on the water, a peculiar dusty film covering homes, then fish kills and dwindling wildlife. Local traditions, woven into the fabric of daily life for generations, were systematically eroded. The annual Harvest Festival, a cornerstone of their communal identity, was overshadowed by mandatory shift work at Sterling's factory, its participants dwindling to a scattered few. The promised jobs, initially a beacon of hope, came with unforeseen, unbearable conditions. Long hours stretched into backbreaking shifts under the glare of artificial light, all for wages barely enough to cover the inflated prices at the new company-owned store. Safety protocols were often ignored, accidents became disturbingly frequent, yet swept under the rug with callous efficiency. Many townspeople, once proud and self-sufficient farmers or artisans, found themselves utterly marginalized. Their land, bought for a song by Sterling's holding companies, was now barren or repurposed for his sprawling operations. Their livelihoods, once tied to the rhythms of nature and community, were destroyed, leaving them with a stark choice: succumb to the grueling, dehumanizing labor Sterling offered, or abandon their ancestral homes altogether. The vibrant tapestry of their community began to unravel, threads of trust and shared purpose fraying under the relentless pressure of economic dependency and despair. Families were divided, some embracing the meager security Sterling offered, others clinging to their independent spirit, even in destitution. A small, determined group of residents, including some of the initial skeptics who had warned against Sterling's overtures, began to organize. They met in hushed whispers after dark, their voices low but resolute, trying to articulate the growing unease, to voice their concerns against the behemoth that had consumed their town. They attempted petitions, peaceful protests, and appeals to regional authorities, but each effort was met with an unyielding wall of indifference and intimidation. Sterling's lawyers, sharp and predatory, descended upon them with cease and desist letters, frivolous lawsuits, and veiled threats that suggested far worse consequences for continued resistance. The message was clear: dissent would not be tolerated. Sterling, operating from his distant, opulent headquarters, regarded the town and its people with a chilling detachment, mere pawns in his grand, global chess game. He used his vast financial resources and political connections to silence opposition with ruthless efficiency. Local newspapers, once a platform for community dialogue, now published glowing, Sterling-approved narratives. Legal systems, once intended for justice, became tools for his manipulation, burying dissenters in mountains of paperwork and financial ruin. He perfected the art of disinformation, painting any opposition as radical, ungrateful, or economically illiterate, effectively isolating key figures from their own neighbors. Yet, amidst the deepening shadows, a glimmer of hope emerged. A young, idealistic journalist named Alex, working for an independent online publication, stumbled upon a small report detailing environmental abuses in a different, equally remote community now dominated by a Sterling acquisition. His investigative instincts piqued, Alex began to pull at the thread, uncovering a disturbing pattern of exploitation and deceit replicated across Sterling's expanding empire. He started to compile evidence, meticulously cross-referencing public records with whispered testimonies from disgruntled former employees and displaced residents. Before Alex could fully break his story, a profound tragedy struck the town, an even deeper blow. A devastating structural collapse at Sterling's main processing plant, a direct result of neglected maintenance and blatant cost-cutting, claimed the lives of several workers, including a beloved community elder who had been forced into factory labor. The accident, preventable and horrific, plunged the town into widespread despair, solidifying a feeling of powerlessness against an adversary who clearly valued profit over human life. The incident became a stark, undeniable testament to Sterling's depravity. This fresh wound exacerbated the town's internal divisions. Some, shattered by the loss and now desperately fearful for their own jobs, preached caution, urging acceptance of their grim reality and continued reliance on sterling, however predatory. Others, however, hardened by grief and outrage, saw the tragedy as the ultimate betrayal, fueling a burning desire for justice that transcended fear. The community, once united by a common identity, was now fractured, its resistance weakened by infighting and varying degrees of desperation, making their fight against Sterling's colossal power seem almost impossible. The climax arrived with horrifying clarity as Sterling announced his final, devastating plan, the demolition of the town's historic center. He unveiled blueprints for a colossal, multi-story industrial complex, a gleaming monolith of steel and glass designed to sprawl across the very heart of their community, obliterating the ancient clock tower, the beloved town square, and homes that had stood for generations. This was not merely an expansion, it was an eradication, a final, unceremonious erasure of their identity, confirming every fear the townspeople had ever harbored. The fractured community, already reeling from losses and internal strife, was pushed to a breaking point, the collective gasp of outrage echoing through the now desolate streets. But from this abyss of despair, a spark ignited. Inspired by the relentless efforts of the investigating journalist, Sarah, whose findings had meticulously documented Sterling's pattern of exploitation across multiple communities, and driven by a primal desperation to protect their last vestiges, the remaining townspeople forged a united front. The fragmented voices coalesced into a potent choir of resistance. They organized in secret, driven by a shared, urgent purpose. Old rivalries melted away in the face of a common enemy. Farmers, shopkeepers, teachers, and elders converged, guided by the quiet resolve of the initial skeptics. They planned a high-stakes effort to expose Sterling, not just locally, but globally. This involved leaking Sarah's irrefutable evidence to major news outlets, coordinating a massive, peaceful protest that would draw international attention, and initiating a daring class action lawsuit, leveraging every piece of damning information Sarah had painstakingly gathered. The turning point came when the investigation culminated in a shocking revelation. A former high-level executive from Sterling's own corporation, conscience-stricken and emboldened by the growing public scrutiny, came forward as a key witness. He provided access to encrypted internal communications and financial records, proving systematic bribery, environmental violations that had been deliberately concealed, and a horrific trail of human rights abuses in unmonitored overseas operations. This insider's testimony, coupled with Sarah's comprehensive dossier, presented irrefutable evidence of corruption that reached the highest echelons of Sterling's empire. The public outcry was immediate and immense, a tidal wave of righteous indignation that swept across national borders. Legal action was swiftly initiated by federal authorities, prompted by the overwhelming weight of evidence and public pressure. The resolution, though long and arduous, saw Sterling finally brought to justice. He faced an unprecedented legal battle, his public image shattered, his name synonymous with greed and deceit. His vast empire, once thought untouchable, began to crumble as assets were frozen, subsidiaries investigated, and key executives indicted. Sterling himself was convicted on multiple counts of fraud, environmental crimes, and corporate malfeasance, facing years in prison. The town, though deeply scarred, began the painstaking process of rebuilding. The physical wounds remained, but a new understanding of resilience, unity, and self-determination had taken root. They established community-led initiatives to restore their environment, support local businesses, and reclaim their historical sites. The narrative reflects deeply on the countless lives Sterling affected, the families displaced, the traditions lost, the communities shattered. It stands as a stark testament to the devastating cost of unchecked power and the enduring, transformative strength of a community united. The journey towards healing was long, yet every brick laid, every tree planted, symbolized a future reclaimed. This story serves as a powerful message about corporate responsibility, the undeniable necessity of environmental ethics, and the profound importance of collective action in the face of daunting injustice. It reminds us that while ambition can build empires, only integrity can sustain humanity. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories of triumph and tragedy. Check out our next video where we explore another gripping tale of ambition and its consequences.